continuing on. We're working from the bottom of page 6, starting with the trivia. We've just been having a look at valuing a virtue, mindfulness. On that theme, let's recite the opening prayer. Hands together. A deep breath, and may the wisdom of the all-compassionate one so shine within our hearts and minds this day, that we may be enlightened in our acts, thoughts, and deeds. So shall we learn to be true, good, and happy, and attain the spiritual peace. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. Good. So I do hope you're all well. I hope you are appreciating being back, and appreciating that we're taking a slightly different approach this term, and there is good reasons for that. We've had a good long experience of what it's like to be self-directed and self-paced, so that you have been choosing the works, you've been choosing the books, you've been moving at your own speed as well. Okay, so now we're moving at the teacher speed, and we are directed. So before you're self-directed, and now you're being strongly directed. Read this, do this, read this, do this. So those are also different approaches to work and to learning as well. So I think it's good that you have experience of both and are aware of the difference too. So one is called student-centered, where you set the pace, and the other is teacher-centered. Okay, or self-directed and teacher-directed. Here we go then, let's move forward. Firstly, let's start with the bottom of page 6 on your grade 10 Arete books. Let me describe the trivia to you all. The term intellect comes from the Greek philosophical term nous, for mind, thought, and intellect, which is translated into Latin, oops, that's a spelling mistake, as intellectus. It should be, not inlectus. Intellectus, derived from the verb intelligere, to understand or discern, and into French, and then English as intelligence. Must admit, we've come a long way from the sound of the word nous. So I didn't do the checkup on that one, but it seems like a long way to go from a word nous to get to intellectus. Fair enough. I might follow up and do a bit more checking on that. All right then. Have you got that? You understand what intellect means. So it's our training in our school at years is very much to do with the intellect. And it's understanding and discerning. Intellect also does involve the memory and the training of the memory as well. For mind, thought, and intellect. Okay, let's move on. So students, please read page 7. So we've got uplifting realizations on page 7. And you've got 6 main pointers with a paragraph at the beginning. And then, once we've done that together, and I'm also going to read that through now, so you can also read it together with me if you like. Then I would like to solicit some volunteers to share how they can motivate others to use their intellect and free will responsibly. Got that? So I want some volunteers. I don't want no volunteers. I want some volunteers to share how they personally can motivate others to use their intellect and free will responsibly. Let's read together then. Here we go. Page 7. Uplifting realizations. Our human intellect and free will go hand in hand so that we can analyze alternatives, decide on the proper course of action, and take responsibility for the consequences of our decisions. There are various ways in which we can practice our human intellect and free will. Here are some of the possible ways. Here are some of then possible ways. The spelling mistake was in the original. I've just copied it. Right, so there are various ways. Human intellect and free will. Always think before you speak or act. So that little pause in there that can make all the difference between making a huge mistake or making a wise decision, or just holding back enough. Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, reminds us that before responding to a stimulus, let's say, what stimulus is, remember that there is a moment wherein we can assess and decide on what our response would be. Got that? There's a moment in there. That moment is also the one where mindfulness and wisdom observe our own conduct. What are we considering doing? So mindfulness works with that too. And there's another thing like mindfulness called prudence, where you can say, okay, well, I can see 6 different ways of reacting here or responding here. Which one is the best one to choose, rather than just automatically acting and then thinking, oh no, perhaps I shouldn't have done that. Spend time to reflect upon and ponder on issues that need thoughtful consideration. Do not immediately decide, especially if your gut feel tells you that something is wrong. If you are unsure of your assessment of things, find a person whom you trust and believe to possess wisdom. Seek his or her counsel and consider his or her input. Next, control yourself and rein in your emotions. Rein in. A rein is something that you have on a horse that is pulling a carriage or cart. So rein in means that you pull back your emotions, like you would pull back a horse to slow it down. Strive not to jump to conclusions or make hasty generalizations. Hasty are quick, and generalizations are big ideas that aren't very clear. Like, oh no, they are not coming back. They hate me. So you can jump to the conclusion, they're not coming back. They may be coming back. Just might have to wait or phone or something. And then the hasty generalization is, they hate me. So you kind of jump to those conclusions and hasty generalizations. Instead of what the true thing was, they were delayed and they were trying to phone you, and they will be coming back soon and they love you very much, for example. Okay, next. Keep in mind that you are capable of making the appropriate choices and right decisions. Do not allow self-doubt and fear of making mistakes cripple your decision-making process. Again, keep in mind that you are capable of making the appropriate choices and right decisions. Do not allow self-doubt and fear of making mistakes cripple your decision-making process. Next, take responsibility for all your decisions, whatever the outcome will be. Right? That would be, sorry, that's the next one there. Take responsibility for all your decisions, whatever the outcome will be. So then that's all about human intellect and free will, and how they go together. Good, some really important points there. The Stephen Covey one about thinking before you speak or act. The one about reflecting and pondering on issues that need consideration. Don't just rush because your gut says something, your stomach. Seeking good counsel is another point that's made there. And control yourself. Don't jump and react quickly. And then the other one, believe in yourself. Believe that you can make appropriate choices, can make right decisions. And then once you've made decisions, know that you're going to be responsible for what happens. So be careful when you make decisions. Righty, so that's uplifting realizations. All good. And now we're on to points to ponder. So the uplifting realizations. These sections give suggestions on how the virtues can be applied in daily life. Yeah? Those virtues there, human intellect and free will. The points to ponder section. So here's something to do. This is actually an activity. You've got to interview your grandparents or someone like grandparents. Could be great uncle or elderly neighbor or someone. We want to be looking at elderly people, preferably family, and then asking them, how do you make difficult decisions? That's a very interesting thing. Huh? How do you make difficult decisions? They might have to decide whether, I don't know, anything to do with the house, to do with medical needs, to do with marriage, to do with travel, to do with overseas work, to do with whether they should have animals or not, and so on, people's education. So how do they make those difficult decisions? Based on what? And how do they do it? And the other question, so that's one question to ask. How do you make difficult decisions? Second one, what are the factors that you consider so that your actions will not only be correct, but also moral and just? So are they only thinking about the cost in money, in pesos? Are they thinking of the effect it might have on people's feelings of the decision? Do they ask advice from other people? Do they just do it? They just say, no, just do this. Or do they think carefully and speak before they speak or act? Do they reflect? Do they go away somewhere quiet where they can think, or get out some paper and write the stuff down? Some people do, some people don't. Do they read up about that decision, like using the internet, for example, to get advice? Do they say that it's easy or difficult? Okay. Do they have difficulty in making those big decisions or not? All right. So moving on then. So you got space there to fill your answers in that you solicit from them. 2, how can you show your appreciation to your parents who carry the immense responsibility of making decisions for the benefit of the family? How can you show your appreciation to your parents who carry the immense responsibility of making decisions for the benefit of the family? How are you going to say thank you? So you can put your answer in there. Again, you can pause at any time to do this, filling up, or take that screenshot and then add the text. So it's very important. How do you show appreciation to parents? Me, I phone home, every once in a while and speak. Yesterday I called my parents. I spoke for an hour, 50 minutes to an hour to my parents. So they really appreciate that kind of thing. So that's showing appreciation. How about you? So what do you do? Do you eat flowers? I saw Sir Mark bringing a rose to give kind of to his mum, who's an overseas foreign worker. She's working far abroad. So, but online, when he speaks to her, on the camera, he will show the red rose and say, "I bought it for you." So there you go. So there's many different ways to do that. Who carry the immense responsibility of making decisions for the benefit of the family. It's very, very big. People's lives in your hands when you're a parent. All right, so 3. How can you teach your younger siblings to be responsible for their actions? How can you do that skillfully, kindly, not nastily? So what about you? Or if you don't have a younger sibling, you could put it for someone else. How can someone teach their younger sibling to be responsible for their actions? Yeah. Or you could even, again, refer to your parents. Maybe they probably have younger siblings. They grew up. But how can you teach your younger sibling if you do have one? Or maybe a younger cousin or something, if you don't have one. All right, so let's move on then. That's perfectly good so far. Nice and clear. That's page 7. Let's move on to page 8. Here we have, actually they didn't colour in the boxes, did they? So students, I'd like to solicit some volunteers to oops, sorry, I moved on too fast. So back to these ones, the points to ponder, the 1, 2 and 3. Interviewing your grandparents, how do they make difficult decisions, and what are the factors to consider? And then 2, how can you show your appreciation to your parents? And thirdly, how can you teach your younger siblings to be responsible? So 1, 2 and 3. Let's have some volunteers to share how they can motivate others to use their intellect and free will responsibly. How have you found about that? That was the... How about that? Let's have some volunteers, and I'd like you to... You can also put that on an audio clip. You can speak on an audio clip. If we are viewing this lesson video on Zoom, we can pause that now, and we can have the Zoom answers in. You can put your hands up, and you can call in if the internet is stable. If not, you can put your answers on audio onto a PM, or you can write it down on a PM. So that's one way of sharing. Okay, so I want you to do that, and I'd like to I'll be making a record of how many people do and who as well. So that voluntary work, remember that goes to your final grade as well. Everything that you do has a measure in our class. All right, so we're on to page 8 now, engagement, and it's the crossword puzzle. And the challenge is solve the puzzle by identifying what is being described by each item. Write your answer on the boxes provided. Clues follow on from the crossword. So on the screen I'm talking about, here we have this. This is actually how it should look. It looks like that in the teacher's manual. In the book, they didn't put the grey boxes. So you might want to, if you've got the paper book, you might want to do it with a pencil, or just take a screenshot of this and just use that one instead. So there's a few different ways you can do that. You make the choice. Right, so solve the puzzle by identifying what is described by each item and write your answers on the boxes provided. Here we go. 1, there it is across the top. A situation in which a difficult choice has to be made between two or more alternatives. I'll give you a clue. The first word is, its first letter begins with D. Okay. And 5 across, there it is in the middle. Man is condemned to be, according to Jean-Paul Sartre. So it goes in there in the middle there, 4 letters long. Man is condemned to be, what is it? According to Jean-Paul Sartre. All right. And the next one, 7 across. Woo. It's all along the bottom. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 11 letters long. That's a super huge word. Okay. So what's the clue? The result of our decisions and actions. Let's see. So you might have seen this word in the school rules book, for example. Because if you do a bad decision, bad action, you will get... Okay, great, and I think most of you should be able to get that one. The down. So we've got 6 down, we've got 2 down, we've got 3 down, we've got 4 down. All right. Something of decisions or a situation wherein we have to make a choice or a decision. So the something of decisions or the something of a situation wherein we have to make a choice or a decision. It's just a very small amount of time, because it's usually like that. You make a choice or a decision in a very finger snap sometimes. 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. And the clue is a decision usually entails an in something. So firstly you decide, and then you... So what is that word? Or then a decision usually entails some... There's that word. Okay. A decision usually entails some... And option, and 4, option or alternative. What's another word for option? Another word for alternative. Right. So if you go to Jollibee, there's all these options, there's all these alternatives, or another word for those are something. Okay, and you can look at a menu and you have many things. 6, a being that has intellect and free will. And that's the last one, by the way, for optional alternative is 6 letters long. And a being that has intellect and free will, 6, 3 letters, can't be many things. It's not an ant, by the way. Okay, it has 2 legs and 2 arms. So, and there we go, a being that has intellect and free will. So moving on then, we've got a group poster making. Now, it says, we are all called to be an inspiration to every person that we meet. We are now at the top of page 9, by the way, that we meet. One way to spread the message of capitalizing on our human intellect and being accountable for how we use free will is by creating beautiful and thought-provoking posters. Yeah, that's a peaceful protest. Actually, we've missed a little bit here. Did I skip over one? I thought I'd written that out. Okay, obviously not. Okay, I'll read it out. So you can see it in the book, you can see it in the PDF. Form groups composed of 5 members and create a cartolina-sized poster that encourages people to use their human intellect in creating positive change on the society, as well as claim responsibility for all their actions and decisions. Right. So you've got groups of 5 members, and I think we can try to use the PM to do that, so to create those member groups and create a cartolina-sized poster. So that can also be exchanged and people work on it together. That encourages people to use their human intellect and creating positive change on the society, as well as claim responsibility for all their actions and decisions. Okay, got the meaning? Creating positive change on the society. On the society is a bit strange English. In the society or with society or something like that might be a bit better. There we go. All right, moving on. We're on page 9, exercise C, situational analysis. Situation 1. You notice that your friend is sad and gloomy, and you find this odd because she is the most intelligent in your batch, the president of the student council, and is the captain of the school's volleyball team. Got that? President of the student council and is the captain of the school's volleyball team. Next, also her prospects. Oops, missed a bit. You approach her, so that's not in there. Right, missing a little bit here. Says, you, after team, you approach her and ask what seems to be her problem. And she confides to you that a few days ago, her father became very ill and may not be able to provide anymore for the needs of the family. Continuing. Also, her prospects of pursuing a college degree is dim because her mother hinted that she, her mother, will need to find work and help her younger siblings finish their studies. Yeah, also her prospects, as plural, of pursuing a college degree should be are dim, since her mother hinted that she will need to find work and help her younger siblings finish their studies. So she's going to have to drop all of her dreams of becoming educated and go off to work to get money because she's got younger siblings that need it. Based on our lesson on human intellect and free will, what advice can you give to your friend? Again, based on our lesson on human intellect and free will, what advice can you give to your friend? It says possible solution 1, possible solution 2, and the best solution out of those. Clear? So there's a little bit of a glitch in the middle there, lacking. Just making a note of that so I can update it. Situation 2. Whenever your older sister gets hold of the newspaper, she always looks at the horoscope page. That's predictive astrology, as if everything is fixed and it's going to happen in a certain way. And zealously believes, that's very passionately, believes her zodiac sign's prediction for the day. Every weekend she spends money on a fortune teller to get her tarot cards read. So that obviously is bad news because it's putting a lot of power into the hands of other people, and then you lose power yourself. You give up on your decision making and you believe in luck, or that everything is in the hands of the planets moving. She also consulted a feng shui expert for her home location. She was asked why she believes in horoscope, feng shui, and tarot cards. Tarot cards, a bit like horoscope. You're basically turning cards over that have got symbols on, and somebody reads those symbols and tells you what they mean for your life. So it's quite dangerous. And she explained that everything that we do is based on luck and already predetermined. Very good to be studying this, as you know. Yes, it's something that also that the Buddha was very keen that people understand that that is not how happiness works. She uses the horoscope, feng shui, that should be, and tarot cards so she can make the right choices and decisions and thus prevent bad things from happening in her life. How can you help your sister rediscover the significance of free will? How do you do that? It's one thing to believe that you should, but another is to well, exactly what are you going to do? What are you going to say? So there's two possible solution spaces, and then the best one, once you've had a bit of a try at thinking it through. Are we good? So that's page 164. Sorry, that's slide 164, page 9 that we're up to. And let's have a look what's next. The scaffolding for the performance task. We're now on page 10. So we've got a space there in the book. We've got a big, nice, clear space. So you can use any form for that. You can also use a Word or a Pages document, and you can add art to that, or any form of system where you can draw on a white square. Create a concept map about the human intellect and free will. If possible, include a significant life event wherein you were able to fully utilize your decision-making abilities and explored numerous options available to you. And then here, following afterwards, are some example concept maps that other people drew, and with the scoring rubric following. Okay, so there's some example ones, just taken from Google. That's the kind of thing I'd like you to create. So it looks like colored pencils and pens on A4 paper or in a notebook of some kind. And that helps you to keep coming back to the central idea and then branching out with other ideas, and then just always able to get back to the central idea. Good. So you're clear on your task there. Yeah? Good. So the rubric about the concept map, for 3 points, the concept map has a high quality. It's very appealing and skillfully done. 2 points, concept map has a acceptable quality. It's all right. It is quite appealing and it's somewhat skillfully done. And then 1 point, concept map has a low quality and it's less appealing and unskillfully done, just rushed. Unity, the concepts are highly cohesive. They stick together and highlighting one another. Got that? Concepts are consistent and supporting one another would be medium. They're not highly cohesive. And for just 1 point, well, the concepts are unrelated to one another, seems. The purpose, output achieves the task's objective successfully and convincingly. It's strong in purpose. Or the output achieves the task's objectives acceptably. Or the output does not achieve the task's objectives. Okay? So to summarize then, at the end of lesson 1, we're on page 11. So yeah, I'd like you to do your map and then submit that on the PM. Clear? And I'll have created a graph to track that everyone has or hasn't submitted it and I've seen it. Clear? Let's look at those graphs. Let's look at that. So in summary, firstly, every person has the mental faculty and capability to decide and come up with the best correct decision. Respect. Next, our human intellect is more than capable to process our problems and come up with innovative solutions for them. Got that? So with our intellect, we can work out our own problems. We can link things that haven't been linked before. That's creativity. Thirdly, we human beings are conscious. We're free. We're moral. We're rational. And we're capable of abstract thinking. And then lastly, we have the mental faculty and freedom to decide and act, but intimately linked to our where's that one? Oh, here we go. Intimately linked to our free will is our accountability. We've just got 2 frees there. Got that? And the last one, this is not on there. Oops, it's missed off. There is another one that says this. I'll just read it out. We have free will when we view ourselves as agents capable of influencing the world in various ways. Got it. So there's the summaries. It's a strong summary. St. Thomas Aquinas said, happiness is secured through virtue. It is attained by man's own will. Very important. The closing prayer then. Students, let's all gather ourselves for the end of this section and breathe. Prayer position. Reverently do we pray to Thee, the Holy and Perfect One. We earnestly resolve to understand Thy teaching and to daily tread Thy path. So shall, like Thee, we may attain the peace of Nirvana. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya.